Hi everyone, welcome to Byte and Beyond with Uday. In this video, we are going to learn about how to create one-to-many relationship using Spring Data JPA. And in this video, I'm going to use employee and address example because we know that one employee can have multiple addresses such as temporary address or permanent address. So this is the agenda of this video. Let's begin. So we will have two entities. On left hand side, we have employee, and on right hand side, we have address. And address table will be look like this. Primary key, the foreign key, this is employee ID and the address. So if you see this image, we can see this three addresses belongs to John Doe. How we can identify that? Because if I see employee ID, the foreign key, I can see the ID is 1 and this ID 1 belongs to John Doe. So I can say John Doe have multiple addresses. So this is what we are going to achieve using Spring Data JPA. So let's jump into the code and let's start coding. Perfect. So first of all, our first step would be create address entity. So I will expand this entity package and we can see employee entity is already there. That's okay. So we are going to create address entity. And I have created few steps. So I'm going to follow these steps and I will make changes accordingly. So our first step is to create address entity. So let me do that. So I'm going to create a new class inside the entity package and the name would be address. Perfect. And I'm going to annotate this class with the @entity annotation because this is our entity. And I'm going to declare over here bunch of fields such as ID. All right. This is our primary key. And then I can say we will have street and then city and then I want to keep it simple. So instead of state, let's say address type. Yeah, looks perfect. And yeah, I think these fields are sufficient. So I'm going to, this is our primary key. So I'm going to annotate this field, ID field with the other ID annotation. And I'm going to use the generated value annotation. So, so, so the primary key will get auto generated. All right. And the strategy I'm going to use, which is identity. So let me declare strategy and generation type is identity. Perfect. And over here, I can declare at the red column annotation if I want to, you know, I want to make sure that this column should not be null. So I can say false. And additionally, I can declare the length. Let's say street should be 120 characters long. Yeah, perfect. Similarly, let me use this annotation, column annotation over here as well. And city should be, 60 character long. I think that is sufficient. And city also cannot be null. Perfect. Then I'm going to make this address type is also nullable. It cannot be null. And length should be, let's say, 30. All right. And one one last thing remaining, which is I need to connect this address and the employee entity. All right. Of course, there will be getter and setters, but before I do that, I need to connect this address and employee entity. So how can I do that? How can I make one-to-many relationship between address and employee entity? So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to declare employee field over here. All right. And the name would be employee. And yeah, so if we look from the address side, so let me jump to this slide. So if we look the relationship from the address table side or from the address point of view, so we can say there is many to one relationship. I mean, address can be many, but the employee should be one. All right. So there is many to one relationship. So I am going to use over here at the rate many to one annotation, and let me use the fetch type as lazy, so I do not impact my VB performance while fetching data from the database. I have already explained what fetch type lazy is in my previous video. So it basically only fetch addresses and not the employee. All right. Whenever I am trying to fetch uh, addresses, it only fetches the addresses and it does not fetch the employee. It fetches the employee when I say get employee. All right. So that is why I'm using fetch type dot lazy. And I'm going to use join column because the address entity is the owning side. Owning side meaning this address entity will have the foreign key column, which is employee ID. So if you see this slide, you can see the employee ID belongs to address table, and these address tables, I mean, have this employee ID column. That is why. So this is owning side. I mean, this table. Sorry. Yeah, this table contains employee underscore ID foreign key column. So this is the owning side because it this table has the foreign key column. All right. So in order to in order to tell JPA to create this column, we need to use at the rate join column annotation, and I need to I need to declare the column name, which is employee ID, and one more thing that I would like to do is JSON ignore. So it do not, basically basically breaks the chain of uh, serialization while creating a JSON. Okay. I also explain why we usually use this JSON ignore. Okay. So yeah, that is for that. It has nothing to do with our relationship. Okay. It is there only to break the serialization chain while creating a JSON. Okay. So that is why it is here. And yeah, I think we are done from the address entity side. We just need to create getter and setter, and we are good to move ahead. That's it. Yeah, you know, it looks pretty simple, right? And actually, it is. There is nothing rocket science over here. I have just created typical entity, which is address, and I have connected employee and the addresses with the many to one relationship because I am seeing this relationship from the address point of view. So even if you see this slide, you can see this is many and this is one. So if I look this relationship from the address point of view, I can see many and one employee. But if I see this relationship from the employee point of view, it will be one employee and many address. So it calls one to many. So the phrase or the relation change, I mean the relation um changes uh, if you change your point of view. I mean, if you look from the employee side, it is one to many, and if you look from the address side, it is many to one. That is it, nothing else. So over here we have created many to one, and you can see as per the slide, employee ID column is there. All right, along with this ID, street, city, address type, employee ID column will be there. This is our foreign key. All right. So yeah, we are done with this address entity, and our next stop is the employee entity. All right, so let me open this employee entity, and you can see we already have few fields over here. That is fine. I'm going. I'm not going to touch those fields, existing fields. I just want to add the address entity over here. That's it. So as we know that one employee can have multiple addresses, so we will require list over here, because if there is multiple addresses, so we need to have a list. All right, let me import the list. Yes, it is imported now, and let me create the relationship one to many. All right, and yeah, I'm saying map by because this is the inverse side. Inverse side meaning this is not, owning the foreign key, because employee table does not have the foreign key. All right. If you see this slide, employee table does not contain the foreign key. The address table contains the foreign key. So this is address table is the owning side because it contains the foreign key, which is employee ID. And this is the inverse side, the opposite side, I would say. So I am saying, hey JPA, this employee, map by employee meaning I am saying this field. So the relationship is declared over here. Please check over here. That's what I am saying by map by employee. And you know about cascade type all. Okay, whatever operation I am going to perform on the employee, it is going to perform on the addresses as well. If I am going to, set the addresses as, I mean, I'm going to set the employee as null for the addresses, those addresses going to remove because I have set it over here. Orphan removal is equal to true. So this small features I have already explained in my previous video. So I recommend you must watch my previous video as well. All right, perfect. And yeah, that is it. And one more thing that that I will do slightly different over here. Um, I cannot, create typical getter and setters. Of course, I can create getter as usual. Okay, but I need to have add address. All right, that should look like this. Add address. All right. So if you can see what exactly I'm doing over here, I'm using this addresses list, which is declared over here. All right. And inside this list, I am whatever address I am getting, I am adding it over here. And then inside the address, I am setting this employee. So in JPA, this is not the typical Ojo class where we can use typical setter method, because in order to tell the JPA that this address is belong to, for example, let's say I have three addresses, and at some point or at somehow I need to inform JPA that these three addresses belong to John Doe. All right. So that is why I need to declare that this address one belong to this meaning I am referring to the current object. So I am saying address sent employee this this address belongs to John Doe. Then second address comes. I'm again saying this belongs to John Doe by using this keyword and so on. So that is why we need to basically I am syncing two sides. I am adding this address over here to the list of addresses, and I am I am setting the employee on the address entity side as well. So if I click on this method, I will switch on I will switch into the address entity method, which say this set employee, and it set is the employee over here. All right. So that's how it is working. So inside the employee, I am adding the address inside the list of addresses, and for this address, I am setting the employee as well. So I am updating both of the side. I am adding addresses to the employee address list, and I am adding employee to for to this specific address. So this address, and I am saying set employee and the current object, and it goes over here. You can see I have switched to the address entity, and I am setting this employee to this field. All right. I will show you what happens if we do not, you know, uh, do not maintain the both of the side. I will show you the consequences. Don't worry about that. So you will understand why exactly we need to use add address. All right. Instead of typical set address, instead of typical setter method. All right. So I just want to add typical null check over here. If address is null, I don't want to perform any operation, and it should get exit from over here. One more method I would like to add over here, which should be public void set address. All right. Set address. Yeah, set address can have the multiple addresses, and let me modify this method a bit. First of all, I will clear the existing addresses. This is clear, and then if I am going to add null check over here, if if address is equal to null, I am going to return is equal to null. I am going to return else. I'm going to, instead of this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use for each method, and I'm going to call this method, this address is. So this call this one. So I'm going to use this method inside the setter, I mean inside the mapper. So that is why it is there. There is no additional purpose. Okay. So you can there is nothing to give much attention to this method. That's all right. If you are this is for this you know DTO to entity conversion. That is it. This is the convention method, I would say. It has nothing to do with the one to many relationship. Yeah, of course this is important. Okay, this add address is important. This is for the mapper, DTO to entity conversion. That's it. Nothing else, nothing fancy over here. So I think we are done from the employee entity side as well. All right. And our next step would be, let me go to the whiteboard. So our next step is employee DTO. So as I mentioned, We need to, make slight changes in the DTO as well. Nothing fancy over here. I will just declare what I can say, uh, list of addresses. All right. So let me create list of addresses. Just, I'm not going to create address DTO, all right, because it will going to make the processes much more complicated, and I don't want to do that. Our focus, our focus should be on the one-to-many relationship. All right. So that's what we are doing over here. We are keeping this example pretty much simple. And in the end, I'm going to just create typical getter and setters. That's it. Nothing fancy inside the DTO. And in the mapper, I just need to, add I need to just make minor changes over here. So when I receive this DTO, I'm able to set the list of addresses to the employee entity. That's it. So I'm handling the conversion between DTO to the entity. All right. So that is why I'm making changes over here as well. So let me do that. And as I mentioned, that this set address is for this, you know, convenience only. So I can get the list of addresses from the DTO. All right. This is the get addresses method which we have just declared inside the employee DTO, and inside the employee mapper. I'm setting this list of addresses to employee entity, and you can see it comes over here and it clears out the existing addresses if there is any, and if these addresses are null, then we are returning the execution will be written from here itself. It won't move ahead. All right. And if everything is fine, if addresses are there, so I'm going to iterate through each address, and then I'm going to use this add address method. All right. So for the number one address, so if we see the slide, let's say first address comes. Okay. I mean, from the DTO, let's say I'm sending three addresses. All right. And once I have three addresses, I can iterate through the list of addresses. Let's say first address comes, this one, 123 Main Street. Okay. And it calls the add address method. Over here, I'm adding this address to this list. And at the same time, on the address side, on the address side, I am setting the employee. Okay. That this addresses belong to John Doe. That's it. Nothing else over here. So that is why this set address methods we have kept. It is for the mapper only. All right. And similarly, I need to make minor changes in the employee DTO as well. So it is pretty straightforward. Employee DTO, set address, and employee get addresses. And I think we are done. Yes. And we are ready to test our APIs. Uh, there is no changes in the service layer and the controller layer. So if you want to see the service layer, okay, this pretty much remain the same. I'm not touching anything over here. You can see you can see this is the save method. Okay. I'm just validating the employee DTO, and if everything is fine, I'm converting this DTO to entity. All right. So that is why we have, made changes in our mapper, employee mapper, you can see. And if everything goes fine, I am going to save this entity, because two entity will give me the employee entity. And in the end, I am going to save the employee entity using this employee repository. That's it. Same goes for the update. Okay. Find by ID will help us to find an employee. Then we have delete. All right. So everything remains same. I'm not touching our service and controller layer. Everything remains same. Okay, you can see we don't need to touch anything on the controller side as well. So to summarize, we have created address entity. Then we have, created many to one relationship between address and employee. Because if we see from address point of view, there is many to one relationship. Then we come to the employee entity, and over there we have declared one to many relationship between employee and addresses. So we have basically, created bi-directional relationship. Bi-directional meaning the relationships is from the both side, employee and the addresses. And then we have made changes in the DTO and then the mapper. And now we are ready to test our APIs. So let me go to my database. Perfect. There is no database as I mean this is there is no R database available. So let me start our application. It will create the database and few tables. You can see the address table is also here. All right, you can see create table address. So address table is created. So before I use my Postman APIs, let me show you the table how exactly it looks. All right. So yeah, let me select the database first. So you can see Spring Boot Practical is our database. And now let me fire the select statements. And if you see the address, so there is ID, there is address type, there is city, there is street, and there is a foreign key. All right, which is employee ID. So if you see the slide, you can see employee ID belongs to the address table. So you can see employee ID belongs to the address table now. That I can verify if I go inside this address table, expand it, and if I expand this foreign key section and click on it, you can see employee IDs are foreign key. All right. And it has other methods. This is our primary key, employee ID is the foreign key, and these are typical address related columns, street, city, and address type. And employee table is as usual, nothing fancy over here. ID, email, first name, last name, and salary, and this is ID card. Okay, but in this video, our main focus is the address and the employee. All right. So as you can see, there are no data available in our system at this moment. So let's create one employee along with the ID card and the addresses. So you can see I'm going to create uh, an employee. The name is Emma, and this is ID card details. This is and this is address details. So Emma has two addresses. One is in the London. This is the home or the permanent address, and the second address is the Seattle address, which is in USA, and this is the office address. All right. So finger crossed, our application is up and running. So let me hit the send button in our Postman. Let's see what happens. Perfect. Looks like our employee is created. Let me verify. You can see Emma is there now. This is ID card details. And we can see Emma has two addresses. Now we can see the ID as well. ID1, ID2 for these two addresses. All right. You can see I didn't send the addresses ID. It got added automatically. All right. You can see ID1 and ID2. We can verify the same in the DB as well. So if I refresh this, you can see, all right, you can see um, home address, which is London, Main Street, and the office address, which is Seattle, downtown. All right. And this both address belongs to employee one. which is this one, Emma. You can see Emma Watson. All right. Of course, if you need to update anything over here, of course you can update. Let's say, you know, Emma moved from London to, let's say, some other address. So let me do that as well. Let me update this. Let me remove this. Okay, all right. So let's say Emma moved from London to Bristol. That is another city in the UK, United Kingdom. And let me update the date over here, 2027, and let me make changes in the salary as well. And let me hit the send button. Let's see what happens. You can see salary updated. Earlier it was 2026, now it is 2027, and city has been changed from London to Bristol, and everything else remain as it is. So we can verify using this get all employee API as well. You can see 2027 Bristol and the 9,000 salary. All right. And we can verify that in the by going inside the DB as well. You can see salary is 9,000. Uh, and if I refresh this, 2027, you can see over here, and the address is, so if I refresh this London is going to change to Bristol. So you can see Bristol. All right. And this all address belongs to the employee IG. All right. And there is, get another API, get employee by ID. And there is one more API that help us to delete all this data, employee ID card and the addresses. So it is gone now. And if I see get all employees, I will get the empty array or empty response. You can see empty response. And I can verify the same by going in the DB as well. You can see no address is there. ID card is also gone. ID card is also gone. And yeah, before I wrap up my video, I would like to show you the importance of this add address, because as I mentioned, it is necessary to sync both sides. So what happens if I comment out this? You can guess what will happen, because I know what will happen, but you can guess in the meantime. So let's say as typically, I mean, let's say typical, I'm receiving addresses, and I'm just adding those addresses inside my list of address. That's it. I'm not going to update this. I'm not going to add the employee inside the address entity. All right. I'm not going to set employee over here. So I have commented out this portion. Let's see what will happen. And then you will see the importance of the, what I can say, importance of this add address method, and why we need to sync both sides. So yeah, I think we are good. And yeah, let me, as you can see, we don't have any data, empty. So let me use the same data which we have used earlier. Let me hit the send button. Okay, perfect. It looks perfect. I mean, by hitting this post API, I can see that it has created employee. Great. But what will happen if I ask for the employee details? You can see addresses are missing over here. And let me go to the database to find out what exactly happened. So if I refresh this, of course, I can see the employees, and ID card detail is also there. That ID card details I am already getting in the postman, but addresses are missing. Why? Because we have commented out this line, and if we see the addresses table, then you can see address details are there, but those address details, these address details are not connected with the employee. So that is why it is important to sync both of the side. So what happened over here, we have set the addresses. Okay, all right, we have set the addresses to the list of addresses. I mean, we have added the address to the list of addresses, but we also need to set the employee for this address entity. So it is good that we are adding this address inside the list of addresses of employee, but at the same time, for each and every address, we need to set employee as well. So that's what we were missing. You can see, if I click on this, I came to the address entity and it basically sets the employee over here. And then only this employee underscore ID gets updated. All right. So that is why it is missing. That is why it is missing. That is why I don't see any employee ID over here. So that is the importance of syncing both of the side. You need to add addresses to the employee list of addresses, and for the address, you need to set employee as well using address set employee. This meaning current object. All right. So let me. I have uncommented this and. Let me clean my database. So in order to clean, let me drop this. So new DB will be created from scratch, and then we can see that now we are getting the employee. I mean, now we are getting the addresses as well when we are trying to fetch the employees. So yeah, DB is created. Let me verify. Let me set as default. Let me refresh everything. All right, no addresses, no ID card, no employee, because I have dropped this database and it has the new database has been created. All right. So now you can see our address and set employee is there. I have uncommented it. So now if I hit the post, all details should get persisted. Let's see. And you know, let me use this get all employees. You can see now I am getting addresses as well. All right. And we can verify the same by going inside the database. You can see employee detail is there, ID card detail is there, and I can see the employee detail is there. And I can see the ID is also there. Employee ID is also there. Earlier it was null. All right. So yeah, I think we are done with this Spring Data JPA one-to-many relationship. I hope you have learned something new today. If you find my video useful, then please like, share, subscribe, comment. See you in the next video. Bye.